Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week. Thank the good Lord. I'm your host, Brian Perez, ready to discuss the topics that are near and dear to your heart, whether it's anxiety, losing your temper, marriage, divorce, kids, grandkids, narcissism, disrespect, fear, anxiety. We can talk about it all today on New Life Live. Maybe you need advice for how to choose a therapist or a counselor. We can not only help you with that, we can put you in contact with one. Answering your questions today are my licensed marriage and family therapist friends, Marc Cameron and JJ West. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Good to be here.
Yeah, JJ.
Yeah, excited.
Cool. What's on your mind today?
I wanted to talk about dealing with disappointment. We all face disappointment. I most recently was supposed to be on the show a couple weeks ago, and I got into a car wreck where, it was one of those situations where there was a layer of liquid on the road such that the coefficient of friction between the tire and the road was basically zero, and my truck ended up in the wall on the interstate, and that wasn't fun. And certainly the process of having to go through getting another vehicle, that's not fun. But I was disappointed that I couldn't be on because, we had just come back from the Denver Everyman's Battle, and I was so excited to talk about what had happened there. I was so excited to hopefully have some of the guys that were there call in to share their experiences, and I couldn't be a part of that, and I was disappointed. And sometimes, the things that we're disappointed in are things that have happened to us. Sometimes we're disappointed in ourselves because the circumstance I find myself in is a result of my bad choices. And sometimes it's a combination of the two. And that was the case. I wasn't driving recklessly, but maybe I was, if I'd been driving slower, maybe that wouldn't have happened. I don't know. But I was definitely disappointed. And whenever we face disappointment, we're brokenhearted. Our hearts have been broken by something because there's something that we wanted that we didn't get, or there was something that we didn't want that we got. And Scripture is very clear. Psalm 34, verse 18 tells us, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." And so when we face disappointment, when life doesn't go our way, either because of somebody else's choices or because of our own, we want to turn to the Lord. We want to experience Him being close to us. We want to experience Him binding up our broken hearts. That's what Jesus said, that Isaiah was talking about Himself, that He was talking about Jesus, that He was the one that would come to bind up the brokenhearted, to open the eyes of the blind, and to set captives free. And so that's really what we want to experience. That's what we need to experience. But we can only experience that if we listen and pay attention to His closeness, if we listen and pay attention to His voice, rather than just focused on the circumstances, the disappointment in our life. Now, that doesn't mean that we have a Pollyanny, never be sad. It means that we go to God with our sadness.
Mark, any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I'm so glad that you're okay from your car accident, JJ. But yeah, you're right. Disappointment is normal in life. And what's really important is to be able to have that bounce back ability, to be able to accept, the bad thing that's happened, and to be able to say, well, how do I move on from this without longing for wishing the story had a different ending?
For sure. All right. So we're going to get to your calls in just a little bit. We're going to start with John in Evansville, Indiana. You're going to be next. Okay, John, don't hang up. All right. He's awesome. Daryl, Christopher, Lachey, Vincent, everyone else, we're going to talk to you here at New Life Live. God bless you guys. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. We'll be back in just a moment.
I went to Everyman's Battle in 2012. My sexual integrity was not what it should have been. I sought out affairs, whether physical or emotional. Until I came to Every Man's Battle, I didn't understand that would never fill that void.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity. Impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
The shame and guilt was overwhelming.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
You will discover what the true root of your pain is, and you will discover how to overcome.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Dallas, Texas, July 18th through the 20th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Enter the code NLL for a discount.
Every Man's Battle saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
John in Evansville, Indiana, listening on Pure Radio. Hi, John. Welcome to New Life Live.
Hey, thanks, guys, for having me.
Yeah, what's going on? How can we help you today?
Well, there would be a lot to unpack. I'm going to try to summarize, but basically, about 3 to 4 months ago, I started developing anxiety and something where I would fall asleep at night for about 20 to 30 minutes and then just wake up in like a state of panic or terror. And that started kind of a downward spiral. Through a stressful event at work shortly after that, I wound up turning to trying to vape for the first time. And I went to a local vape shop. I did it one time, one puff, and it was some nasty cocktail. I think it had like Delta 8, 9, 10, THC-C, CBD. I mean, it was just nasty stuff. And in a moment of stress and anxiety, I took one puff off of it, and it flipped a switch in my brain, and I haven't been the same since. And, you know, around the same time, I was actually feeling very convicted about a lifelong struggle of pornography addiction. I probably was exposed to that stuff at 11. I just turned 40. So I struggled with that my whole life, and I felt the Lord basically calling me back to Him. And so I kind of started that in my own power throughout this whole process. I think I'm like 60 days, you know, porn free at the moment, and I'm thankful for that. But like, this is uncharted territory for me. It's like I feel borderline brain dead because everything is so new to me now. You know, just trying to rebuild, and you know, I've battled anxiety, panic attacks, insomnia since then. I actually have had a few different traumatic brain injuries in my lifetime from motorcycle accidents. So I guess all that to say is, how does one go about healing and restoration and trying to live for the Lord while also having physical symptoms? And then you go to places like, you know, visiting churches, and some of these believers will tell you just trust in God for complete healing, but other people are telling you, go see doctors, go see neurosurgeons, go see therapists, get on mental health drugs. When you have everybody who seems like they care from all different angles trying to tell you what decisions you should make, and you don't know who to listen to,
right,
and there's obviously something very wrong, where do you go from there? And I know that's a lot.
Good questions. Mark, we'll start with you.
John, did something happen? You said that this occurred 3 to 4 months ago. What happened 3 to 4 months ago? Do you know?
I don't. I just started noticing that the very first sign of something wrong was when I would go to sleep and you'd feel your brain and body start to click off. And then, I mean, maybe 5 minutes later, maybe 30, I couldn't really tell. It was shortly after I fell asleep. I'd wake up in a sheer state of terror and panic.
And was this like after the vaping or before?
No, it was before.
No,
I think.
this was even before the
right.
before the vaping.
Yeah, I think that's why you said that you did the vaping, because you were in this such state of desperation to try and manage your anxiety. Well, so something happened, whether you're consciously aware of it or it happened in the unconscious. Something has switched. There's an association that's happened. We call that a trigger. Now, I have a friend, and she has a mug. It says it's okay to have Jesus and a therapist too, and I believe in that. You know, obviously, I mean, we're the hands and feet. You know, God's put us here for one another. Of course, He can divinely intervene anytime He wants, but He has us intervene on His behalf, and so He's given us, you know, knowledge. Psychiatrists have understanding and knowledge about different drugs that have been revealed to us that can help manage anxiety. And of course, then, you know, we have therapists here who have wisdom who can help people walk through things. So I think it's good to tap into those things. Definitely, yes, of course, the Christian answer is trust God for our healing, but we also want to do something about it. I mean, most of the time in the Gospels, Jesus asked someone to take some kind of act of courage before they receive their healing. And so, we don't want to just be passive, waiting around, just praying and expecting that it's going to happen without actually doing something ourselves. So I think it's good to take acts of empowerment. And so that's what I would recommend for you. Are you under the care of a psychiatrist? Are you seeing a therapist?
So I was seeing someone at the Veterans Affairs, and here's where can I interject on that part is where I would take exception to that is that I was going to the hospital, to the ER, I think 13 or 14 times for panic attacks until I realized, this needed to be treated outside through separate care, someone that actually managed this, because at first no one knew what was going on, and they were saying, well, it's panic attack, here's Ativan. They'd stick Ativan in your veins. It would switch me off, and then guess what happened? A day or two later, another panic attack. You go and get Ativan again, and that stuff is nasty. And so I think I developed a very quick dependence onto Ativan, and just coming off that, a week or two later, I started getting like seizure-like symptoms, uncontrollable shaking and spasming. It was hell. I mean, if I can say it like that, going through that, just to come off that stuff. And so when I was going to the hospital, they were just trying to throw everything at it. They gave me a shot one time. I could name it by name, but they gave me a shot, and it put me into a state of psychosis. And so I'm deathly afraid of doing these mind-altering things when I have seen lives be destroyed by some of the stuff like benzos and opiates and all that. I have seen people's lives ruined that have been on this stuff for 30, 40 years. And so, of course, I want the Lord to heal me naturally. But if that doesn't happen, it's like, where do I turn? Because when I do turn to psychiatrists, I mean, they've tried lithium carbonate. I could name a bunch, trazodone, you name it, blah blah blah. I adverse or paradoxically react to like everything they've given me. The only thing I've even found that's worked has been over the counter, like lithium orotate, and I even have mixed feelings about it. But it's like if I don't take it, I go into manic states, and I just have this ridiculous energy and hyperactivity for days. Yeah. But then, if I do take it, then I become this like lethargic vegetable. And so where's the balance? And throughout all this, I've tried to hang on to God. I mean, he's pulled me out of a dark pit. I mean,
Are you diagnosed bipolar, John? You talked about having manic states.
I was by two different people, and I was told by like three other mental health professionals, no, you're not bipolar. So that's where it becomes really difficult for me, is who's right.
And what about therapy?
Because I didn't have these issues prior to, I didn't have all these issues prior to 3 or 4 months ago. So if the vaping flipped the switch, maybe that happened. And I don't know if this is temporary or permanent, but therapy, I have just started seeing somebody. I've seen him one time so far.
Okay. JJ, thoughts from you?
Yeah, so there's a couple things going on here that I would want to respond to first, John. I think it's important that we recognize that, there's a verse in Psalm 20 that says, some trust in chariots, some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. And so oftentimes people will cherry pick a verse like that and say, see, that means I shouldn't use X, I shouldn't use this medicine, or I shouldn't go to therapy, or I shouldn't do this, that, or the other thing. I'll just trust in God. But what's interesting to me is that the psalmist who wrote that was a citizen of Israel, and the nation of Israel had horses and chariots. It wasn't like they abolished all horses and chariots because they're going to just trust in the name of the Lord their God. It was that they didn't look to those resources for their ultimate salvation. They understood that any salvation or any victory that they achieved in war came from the hand of the Lord, right? And so whatever resources I explore, whether that's therapy or medicine or exercise and diet and whatever, all of those things, ultimately, my salvation comes from the Lord, not those things. Okay, so that's thing one to just kind of keep in our back pocket. And then thing two is that, you have a very obviously very specific, very not common response to drugs, and so you're going to be a special case. You're going to have to talk to more experts than the average person is going to. I don't know if you've already come across either marijuana-induced or cannabis-induced depersonalization and derealization disorder. But if you haven't, that may be something to explore. It doesn't impact the majority of the population, but there is a small subset of people who, from like first try of cannabis, can have this depersonalization and or derealization response to it, and it presents as this psychosis that doesn't seem to make sense to any other aspect of their life. It doesn't fit with all of the normal precursors that people would look to aren't present. And so if you haven't talked to anyone about that, I would just encourage you at least to explore it further to see, because you do have this very hyper response to medication that most people don't. Some people, it's a spectrum, right? I have a really low response to lidocaine. I need more lidocaine than the average person in order to not feel the pain from, an operation or a procedure or whatever. You would have the opposite. You would have a hyper response. And so you need to know that about yourself as you're exploring care, that you're letting all of the physicians, psychiatrists, therapists know, hey, here's my experience. I'm kind of a unique situation here. And so I have to have a treatment plan that takes that into account. I can't just do the average treatment plan that everybody else does and has success with.
Mark?
Yeah, I think what I would add to end here is just find someone to stick with, because when you go to the hospital, you're going to get different providers every time, and the hospital really is just trying to stabilize you. Whereas when you have a provider that you go to, and especially if you can have that provider speak with your therapist, then you have a treatment team who are following alongside with you, and they can assess these different things, these different reactions that you might have, and they can work together to help you figure out the right treatment plan. How about Take Your Life Back?
Okay.
For John. Yeah.
That is a book that it's available on our newlife.com store. And John, we're going to send you a copy of it just for calling in today to New Life Live. Back to the phones. Here is Vincent, who's listening to us in Los Angeles on 99.5 KKLA. Hello, Vincent. Welcome to New Life Live.
Thank you. I appreciate your taking my call. I'm not sure how to start. I'm a little bit nervous being on the air and all of that. I'll just think I'm talking to you directly then. I was a caretaker for a Christian sister who's battling several issues, Ehlers-Danlos, I don't know if you're familiar with that, or mast cell activation syndrome. And she had some malnutrition, so she was not able to get around. And so I was living in her home for a while, and then she had to be hospitalized, and she didn't have an advocate, so I stayed with her in the hospital, and this was been taking place since 2023. And so I'm a student at Liberty University, aviation and biblical theology there. And so I took off a semester to help her. And it was kind of a gradual growing experience with the narcissism and disrespect. And part of me, recognized it, but I let it go because she really needed the help. And I was really surprised at the hospital situation where they did not have a nurse that would stay with someone who needed care 24/7. That's a separate issue in itself. So I couldn't find anyone else to even tag team with me. So I was really there 24/7 without getting paid, and it was really stressful.
Yeah.
But the narcissism started to grow, and it came to a head a few weeks ago in the hospital, a separate hospital. We were in two different hospitals.
Okay.
And so you have a question?
I was just going to say, so what's your main question for us? Because we're coming up to a break, and we're going to get our thoughts together here during the break and give you an answer. But you've given us a lot of background, which is good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one is that I want to be able to recover from the narcissism. I'm separated from her now, and I'm thinking I need to set a final boundary with her. I want the the disrespect to stop, and I need to set a boundary to do that. And I've had some really heaving responses, crying for like an hour or so over it, and I'm not sure what that's all about, and I'm trying to respond in a healthy way for myself with reference
Vincent,
to that.
is this someone you're in or have been in a romantic relationship with?
No. That's just strictly as a brother trying to help a sister, and I was working as a caretaker.
Okay, and is this person older than you?
No, she's younger.
Oh, she's younger than you.
And when you say sister, you just mean like Christian sister.
That's correct.
Yeah.
How old are you? Just curious, and how old's this person?
She's 34, I'm 62. And again, I'm trying to get to a place of dealing with my anxiety over it, because that's triggering.
Right. Okay, we'll come back to you when we come back from the break here on New Life Live. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
We've been married 33 years. We attended the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. Even though we've read books or attended a few other marriage weekends, this was certainly different and a lot more intensive than initially that we thought.
When you come to Intimacy and Marriage, you're going to be immersed into a 3-day process.
Was not really sure exactly what to expect, but the idea of learning to really understand intimacy was intriguing. We had been in the same patterns of struggle over and over again.
If you've thought, I don't think we can ever change, we're just in this rut and we can't get out, the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop can help you get out of the rut.
The Intimacy and Marriage Weekend is July 25th to the 27th in Washington, D.C. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
I would highly recommend it.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Are you still with us, Vincent?
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks for holding through the break.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us, Vincent. I mean, I heard that you were a student at Liberty, but I was thinking the age difference would probably be flipped the other way around, that you would be younger and this person would be older. I mean, it sounds like you put your life on pause to really take care of someone who's half your age here. How did that happen, and where's this person's family?
Well, that was part of the issue. Initially started, to answer your first part of your question, she was in my small group, and she was expressing some of the needs that she was having, or what she was experiencing and what she's been going through, and she was wanting to visit her family in Illinois. That's the other part of your question. That's where they are. And she wanted someone to watch her house and to take care of her dog while she was gone. So that's how it started there, because I was just going over and doing that while she was gone. But when she got back, things started to really escalate as far as her going downhill with her health. And again, there was very little support. It was some friends that would help here and there, but no one to really take care of the real deeper needs that she was having and experiencing. And the health had started to deteriorate even further, to the point where she needed to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And so I just saw the need, and again, not even her family was coming out at that point to help. So I did what I thought
was that
surprising?
Was that surprising to either her or you, the fact that she's in the hospital and none of her family comes to see her?
That's a really good question. Part of me was surprised that I mean, how can I not be surprised that there was nothing? And she was going through a divorce at the time. Her husband was sent her divorce papers. And so she had really a whole lot on her plate. It was just so overwhelming. And her daughter had special needs also. And so it was just really amazing what was going on at that point.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Vincent, I got to ask, have you found yourself in a relationship like this in the past where you are taking care of lots of things for someone, where you've had to, as Mark put it, put your life on hold in order to care for the needs of somebody else?
Or was that your experience growing up with a parent, where you had to take care of a parent?
Well, yes, that is true. My mother had pancreatic cancer, but we didn't know that until it was too late. She was diagnosed 5 months before she passed away. But prior to that, she had neurofibromatosis. I'm the oldest of 3 boys. So I was in college at the time here at Cal State Northridge. And I had to stop all of that because I needed to take care of her and work in order to take care, because there was no father in the home.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot going on with that. And then just prior to, and it's like one thing right after the other, I mean, prior to the person I'm called about in reference to, there was 2 other situations. One with the first one with my aunt for 11 months, because she had something where required me to live with her for that period of time till she recovered, and she did, and went back to work. But that was it. And then right after that, another Christian friend had an issue where this was totally surprising. I was just going to be a caretaker for her and helping her around her house. And then my second day on the job, she had a stroke.
Oh, my.
Wow.
Can you see a theme here, Vincent, of what is happening? You are replaying this history. You're replaying, it started off in your childhood where you were the oldest of 3 boys. And so you are, the responsible one, or the responsibility fell on. The same thing happened. You were at college, you dropped out. And then with your aunt, you moved in and lived with your aunt. And now you've moved in and you're living with this woman. You're creating this sort of parent-child dynamic relationship. And maybe it's going both ways here. It's highly confusing, but you're putting your life on hold to replay your history here, and I think that's where you were going with that, maybe, JJ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That there's a pattern of where I codependency, where I don't have those healthy boundaries that say it's okay for me to say no. There's an old book called My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers. It's a little daily devotional. And I don't remember every single one, but there's one that stood out to me. And, it's been decades probably since I picked that book up. But there was a passage that's a devotional that said, "The need is never the call." And he talked about how when Jesus was on the earth, he didn't meet every single need that everybody had. He only met the needs that his Father had called him to meet. And I think that that's an important lesson for all of us, but especially if you struggle with codependency, or if you struggle with reenacting this dynamic from childhood, it's especially important, Vincent, for you to be asking the question, whenever a need pops up, God, is this a need that you are calling me to meet, or is this somebody else's call?
Yeah, let's send Vincent how we love. And I think especially as you get into the pleaser chapter here, Vincent, you'll start to see how your childhood history has shaped you to be codependent. And there's a way to grow out of that, and not jumping in and helping every need, as JJ's saying, doesn't mean that you're not being a good Christian or a good son or a good person.
Yeah. Vincent, thanks for your phone call today on New Life Live. We're going to send you a copy of How We Love, so stay on hold. Christopher, Lachey, Daryl, we haven't forgotten about you guys. We'll come back to you when we come back here on New Life Live.
I was stuck. I was so stuck. 27 years married. My husband addicted to pornography for the majority of our marriage. I was very isolated and didn't really know which way to turn.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 7th to the 9th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
You guys helped me figure out what was going on.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022. That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
And back to the phone calls in just a moment. But JJ, I think you had a final thought for our previous caller, Vincent.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Vincent and everyone out there who's like Vincent that, listen, I don't want you to feel like we're piling on you like, oh, how could you let this happen? How could you be codependent? Because it's really your good heart. Your good heart is wanting to care for and serve others. And I get that. And I love that. And God loves that. It's just that so often our good heart is what gets us in trouble because it takes us down paths that aren't the healthiest for us. And so we want to be able to have a servant heart, but not a codependent heart that needs others to need me.
I think we all wish we had a friend like Vincent. I mean, Vincent's just, he just seems like this guy that we can call on if we're going through something, and he'd be there.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, JJ. And on a different show, I had talked about the differences between being responsible for and responsible to. And,
yeah, that was on Monday.
And so he's doing what he feels like is the right thing to do, but it's also robbing him of living his best life because he's taking too much responsibility for others.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, back to the phones. Let's go to Houston, Texas. Here is Lachey listening on Sirius XM channel 131. Hi, Lachey. Go ahead. What's your question for us today?
Hi. Thank y'all for taking my call or listening to y'all on Sirius XM 131. Y'all give great advice, so I do want to just point that out. But I'm going to keep mine short and sweet. I'm a nurse. But I feel like I don't have a lot of experience when dealing with mental health since it's the first time this has happened in our family with one of our 5 children. Basically, we have a 15 to 16-year-old that started having mental health psychosis problems when she was in high school, and she ended up having 2 mental health hospital stays because of it. And so what's going on is within all of it that have happened all those years, there is a family dynamic of that oftentimes when she's coming home, even when we're trying to get her navigate the family dynamic when she's coming back from school, like now she's here for the summer. What we've noticed is there's a threshold between mental health and manipulation, and I'm not so sure where that threshold comes into play anymore, because here lately she has lashed out at me twice, has cursed me out, almost in a manic episode, and she sees a mental health professional with our local health system, and it seems to be helping at times, but she's not as open to taking medications and stuff. So my question is, how can we as a family navigate the emotions or communications in this family dynamic, because our siblings are distant, and they kind of feel like when the situation gets to Dad, I think the way he responds makes them not want to say stuff, and this is my opinion because I've talked to my husband about it. He doesn't like to see her that way. It hurts him really, really bad, and oftentimes I've heard him say things like, "I will be fine if if I know that if I leave this earth, that all my children are okay." So I think he feels guilty. To me, that's a sign that he feels guilty about something. Okay. I'm not sure, because he has voiced and said before, what if we didn't switch schools? What if she didn't go to this school? What if we made her come out of her room? Like, he keeps saying, what if? And I keep trying to just say to him, I'm not an expert, but I do trust God.
Yeah. JJ, your thoughts first.
Yeah. Well, Lachey, I'm so sorry that you guys are going through such a difficult challenge in your family. I would say this. I think, what your husband is expressing is grief. Anytime we do the what ifs, that is part of the grieving process. It's the bargaining that comes in the grieving process. We're trying, and when we do that, what we're trying to do is somehow wrestle back control of a situation that is out of our control. And that feels really scary to us. Anytime we're faced with something that is beyond us, that is bigger than us, that feels scary to us, and we try to wrestle back control. So we start going, well, if I had only done this instead of that, what if we'd done this instead of that? Then we wouldn't have this bad outcome, and then I would feel like I'm in control. If I make the right decisions, I can avoid pain, and that's not reality. And so part of what he and you, I think, and probably the other siblings in your family, the other children, your other children, the sibling to this one daughter, some of the stuff that you guys have to do is to grieve what was lost when she was a teenager and had these events and had these hospitalization stays. Is that there was a picture of the family that you had that was lost, that was damaged by her mental health experiences, and some of that may never come back. That picture may never be able to be put back together. And so then the next step is to say, God, what are you doing through this broken picture? What are you doing to bring about redemption, to bring about your purposes in our family? And that's not easy to do, but I do think that that's what is going on for him and possibly for you as well.
Yeah. Mark?
Yeah, have you thought about family counseling, Lachey?
We have not done family counseling. That may not be a bad idea. Now, through the county that we live in, I have done some counseling myself in how to deal with it, because I deal with her predominantly more than anybody else. I've taken her to therapy appointments, and it has burnt me out, and I've had to take a couple of courses through them to kind of best navigate. I think somebody recommended a book that says I'm Not Sick, or something like that, like I'm Not Sick or something like that. It's a family book. I haven't been able to read it, but I think it's called I'm Not Sick.
Yeah. How old's your daughter?
She's 19.
And do you know her diagnosis, her official diagnosis?
Yes, with all the testing and everything that we've done, she is diagnosed with OCD and schizophrenia.
Oh, wow. Yeah, those are really, really significant diagnoses. And so, yeah, I agree with JJ. You're all going through the process of grief. And you may not necessarily recognize where you are in the process, because you're just kind of in like the do it mode, like get it done. Like
survival.
Survival. Yeah. What do we need to get get done next, and it may hit you later on. So I recommend getting into family counseling. Like you said, there's a family system issue here where you all have to deal with this and manage this, and you will have to continue to manage it likely for the rest of your lives here. So start there, because and what's great about family counseling too is sometimes a therapist can see just certain members. The treatment unit is still the whole family, but he may be able to see you and your husband at different times and help you work out and figure out that dynamic, and then bring in different, members of your kids in to be able to process this whole thing. So that's what I recommend.
And for a book, maybe the Life Recovery Workbook for Grief.
Yeah.
Okay. We will send that to you, Lachey. Thank you so much for calling in today here on New Life Live. And thank you for supporting the work of New Life through your prayers and financial contributions. You can pray for our on-air counselors and therapists to have the right words to say to our callers. Pray for the callers who share their deepest pains and struggles. And pray for the people who are afraid to call in, that they will call in. And pray for our behind-the-scenes team, too. There's so much going on here at New Life. Please keep us in your prayers. And then you can also consider donating towards the work that we do, connecting people to the help they need to move from addiction to sobriety, from estrangement to reconciliation, from hurting to healed. Change a life, change a family by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE or by texting NLM to 28950, or you can donate online at newlife.com. You can even mail a check if you want to. You can get the address at newlife.com. Okay, here is Christopher in Lexington, Kentucky, listening on WGTK. Hey there, Christopher. What's your question for us today? And I hear a lot of background noise. Is it possible to... hey, it's gone. Perfect. All right.
Sorry.
That's all right. What's your question for us today, Christopher?
I'm having some relationship issues, and I'm just trying to figure out what direction I should go in. I was dating someone, and we broke up last October. I tried to connect with her at the beginning of the year. She made it clear that she didn't want to talk to me anymore, didn't want to have anything to do with me. And I'd say last month, she unblocked me on social media, I guess. I don't know, whatever reason, for 4 days or so. And she unblocked my phone number. And I try to message her and see maybe if she had something to say or a change of heart or anything. Never responded. So, I tried to reach out to her best friend, which her best friend told me that she still didn't want to have anything to do with me or talk to me. And I was like, well, why did she unblock my number and all that? And I'm just confused on which, should I leave it alone, or I'm trying to figure out maybe if she's thinking of something, because our relationship kind of was rocky in the beginning because she gets in her head a lot.
Yeah, Christopher, we will do our best. It's 3 guys on the program today that you're asking to try to read the mind of a... Never mind, not going to go there. No, I'm joking, of course. But Christopher, we will answer your question, and we'll talk to Daryl as well here on New Life Live. We'll be back in just a moment.
Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
And we're talking to Christopher in Kentucky, who wants us to try to let him figure out what it is that his former girlfriend is thinking, and we're doing our best. JJ, what do you think?
Hey, Christopher, first, I'm sorry you're going through this, but, and I hate to be the kind of the bearer of bad news here, but I would say she's given you every indication that she is done with the relationship. She's made it clear, but it's been hard for you to accept this. And I get that. I've been there. I've definitely been in that role where I'm still wanting the relationship that the other person has ended. And the reason why I say that is the only reason you knew that she had unblocked you is that you were paying attention. You were still investigating. Is she back? Is she available? Is she interested? Is she, like, you're still kind of holding on to the hope of this relationship. And I think that is keeping you from exploring what God has for you that's actually better. That there's something else out there, like, you hear the phrase all the time, right? Plenty of fish in the sea. I think that you're trying to hold on to and rebuild something that she has already declared this is done. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm pretty sure that this is not something that you should be trying to resurrect. I think this is something that it's time to say, yes, it's done, and for me to move on.
But then why would she unblock him?
Well, who knows? How old are you, Christopher? I'm just curious.
35.
35. Yeah, I mean, growth is painful, and I think what JJ's doing is kind of giving you a mercy here. He's calling it bad news, but it's merciful news, really, because it is painful to hear, but you can grow from this if you learn to understand, why she blocked you and what happened in the relationship. If you can learn to deconstruct it and see what went wrong, you can actually grow from this. And JJ's right. You can't walk. I remember being in a similar situation like this, and I remember sitting in church, and sometimes you sit in church and you're like, this sermon is for me. Well, I haven't had that experience many times, but this sermon was for me. And I just remember from it the pastor saying, you can't walk through one door without closing another behind you. And that was like this catalyst for me to be able to move on from that relationship. And then I met my wife, and I'm not saying that it's gonna work out like that for you. I'm just saying that it worked out like that for me, but I needed to close one door before I could go through another here, my friend. And so we don't have this book, but How to Get a Date Worth Keeping is just a fantastic book that can help you learn how to deconstruct what happened and a good strategy for how to move forward. And I think the book How We Love might open up some insight for you to see, what happened in this relationship.
Yeah, I would recommend sending How We Love because, Christopher, you take you into any future relationship, and that book's going to help you identify what are the things that you do in relationship that may not be the healthiest, and to change that.
How We Love is on its way to you, Christopher. Thanks for calling in today. And please look for the book, How to Keep a Date Worth Keeping, in wherever it is that you
Henry Cloud.
buy your
How
books.
to Get a Date Worth Keeping.
Very nice. Okay, Daryl in North Hollywood, California, listening on KKLA. Welcome to New Life Live.
Hi. First, I want to praise God because he decided I was going to call today. And then just everything that's been talked about today is basically what I'm going through, kind of, and thinking about. Can I ask you guys to say a quick prayer before we start?
Well, sure. Father, we pray for Daryl, whatever it is that he's going through, and we pray that you will give us wisdom to help him with his situation. In Jesus' name, amen. Daryl, what's going on?
So, I don't even really know how to start.
Well, your phone is kind of, are you in a bad cell spot right now? We're kind of losing you.
Just know we have less than 5 minutes of the show left, Daryl, so we want to help.
Okay. How is it better?
A little. Just maybe get to your question as soon as you can. What's your main question for us today?
Really, all I want to do is serve God, and he's calling me to do whatever it is. I have a vague direction on where to go, and I just don't know what to do, where to go. There's so many other problems, but this is the one that is really pulling at my heart, and I just don't know where to go.
Okay.
And that's all I want to do. Like, I know I need to make money and pay bills and stuff like that, but if I could do that while serving the Lord, that's what I want to do, and I don't know where to start.
So it's a fear of the future kind of thing.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I just don't know how to do it.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 44.
Okay. What would you guys say, JJ?
Yeah, a couple things here. One is to just keep in mind, Daryl, that what it means to serve the Lord is pretty broad. Sometimes it means full-time Christian ministry, where you're either raising support or you work on a church staff or something, right? Sometimes that's the case, but sometimes serving the Lord, it looks like tent making, where I'm doing something to have an income, but then I'm doing this other thing to build the kingdom. So I want to just kind of maybe raise the curtain and expand what it means to serve the Lord. But then two, if in fact you feel like God's calling you into full-time Christian ministry, probably the first step is going to be talk with your pastor, share with him that God's put this on your heart. And what's the next step? Is there a training program that your church offers? Is there a seminary that they partner with? Are there resources, books, courses that you can go through that'll help prepare you for what the ministry that God's calling you to later? We often think about, I'm just called, so I'll go right now. But there's a preparation time. Paul spent 3 years studying before he started his missionary journeys. And so we want to make sure that we're prepared to do the work that God's called us to do.
Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, that's really good, JJ. Yeah, I mean, it's a powerful prayer to pray, here I am, God send me. And I love that that's on your heart.
Yeah.
But as JJ's saying, we need preparation too. And so as you pray that prayer and you make yourself available, God will show you how he's wanting to use you. Now, some of us, are called to fund the mission more than it is to actually be the ones, right there in the mission field. It doesn't mean that you don't have a part in the mission field. But some people are called into full-time ministry is what I'm trying to say. And other people that you still are living out the gospel, but you also have a career. And so I'm with JJ here. Go to your pastor, ask him how you can volunteer, how you can serve, having a mentor if you don't have one, and asking that person too, what do you see in my life? What are areas that you see that I need to grow in? That's just as important as the work is preparing ourselves to doing our own personal work so that we can be the most effective to others who we do end up serving.
How about a book that we can send to Daryl there in North Hollywood? So many good ones in the newlife.com store. We're going to send you one, Daryl, just for calling in today. And yeah, we just ask that you keep seeking the Lord as to what it is that he wants you to do. But yeah, it's vague sometimes. If he hasn't specifically told you one thing, then just be open. There's so many different opportunities. What would you guys say?
I don't know if we have it in the library or not, but Os Guinness's The Call would be a good one for you to explore.
I don't think we have that one, but I'm sure we can. Daryl can find a copy of that one somewhere.
And then let's send him How People Grow then.
Okay, How People Grow is on its way to you.
Yes.
Thank you, Daryl, for calling in today. We are just about out of time here on New Life Live. Thank you so much for listening and watching today. Thanks for praying for us. Thanks for praying for our listeners, including Daryl and everyone else who called in today. We will talk to you on Monday. Can't wait till then. We'll see you at church on Sunday. Remember to keep us in your prayers, and newlife.com is where you can find out how to support us, either as a monthly supporter, Club New Life, or as a one-time gift. Thank you so much. God bless you guys.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.